Hello, welcome to Leap Taken. I'm Nika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Okay, so today I'm going to have a conversation about the universe. More importantly, does the universe talk back? Now, if you're practicing any sort of paganism, you probably think, yeah, it does. And we're saying the universe very broadly. Um, Take from that what you will, but I'm speaking it very broadly when I just say universe. So does it talk back? Yes, it does. We'll just, get to that part. But I did want to talk about something else before I really dive into this topic, and that is my 30-day do something witchy challenge. Man, this weekend was challenging. I'm convinced now it's when the weekend comes, like with anything, if you're dieting, if you're doing any sort of tasks, going to sleep one time, all that sort of stuff, the weekend comes and you got to really stay on it. So this weekend I really had to stay on it to try to do some of the things that I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to double up because I didn't do some things. I got really busy um, another day, so I was going to double up on it. And I ended up having to do a modified version of the very thing I wanted to do. But I just still did something witchy, so that counts in my book. So I'm good. I'm good with myself as far as doing something witchy on this challenge. I've done it, and I'm still doing it. So if you have been like me, and sometimes it's about the weekend comes and it gets a little hectic, do your own version. Do something else. The point is just to do something, right? To kind of keep that magical flow, because as this year goes on, I know for me, I got big goals and big things I want to do. So definitely want to sort of stay in my magic and keep my magical balance and, be aligned with my goals. And I do that by staying in it, doing something, not just reading or researching or writing or talking, but doing more than that, doing my own stuff and keeping that connection. So that's where I'm at with that. Hopefully, you guys are doing great for anybody who's actually participating on this challenge. Now, another little thing I wanted to just point out is I've reached 100 subscribers. Now, I know in the YouTube world that's not huge, but in Mika's world, in the world of Leap Taken, that is huge. And I am. It to me, it feels like I reached 1,000 or even I don't know 10,000. I have that same feeling. I feel so honored that people wanted, at least 100 people wanted to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. It means something to me. This is a big deal. I feel like a little YouTube big shot right now with my little 100 subscribers, and I don't take it for granted. I started this with the intention, Leap Taken here on YouTube, that is, with the intention of just wanting to share. I wanted to be what I didn't find. I am a stay-at-home wife. I write. I love planners. Um, I also am a witch. I'm a brown girl. Um, I, I am heterosexual. Not that I have a problem with anybody else, but I'm just saying what I want to see. All in one, all in one package. There's somebody for everybody. I wanted to see somebody like me. I'm not 22, coming into this just starting out, and I don't profess to know everything, but at the same time, I am, I'm a woman of a certain age, and with age, hopefully, if you're doing this life thing, well, you've gained some wisdom and some knowledge. So I have, and I wanted to share it. Whether you are 22 or 45, I wanted to share this information that I've come across and I've experienced to help others. Or, even if it's not about helping, just sometimes you just want to listen to a like-minded person, because that's what I was looking for when I would go on YouTube. It wasn't always about you teaching me something. It was more about just listening to somebody who kind of vibes the same way I do. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to do here at Leap Taken. So thank you. Now about the universe. The universe does talk back. Now, most of us probably are familiar with, understanding signs and symbols received from the universe. That's for most of us in a way that the universe is talking back. So just to give a little bit more context, I wrote an article, a post posted today over at my blog at leaptaken.wordpress.com. And that's the title of the post. Does the universe talk back? And it does. I said they're kinda. And I say that because for some of us, we might not think it does talk back because we don't understand symbols, we don't understand how to read signs, interpret dreams, or trust our intuition, or trust maybe messages coming from other people that are just meant for us. They're not meant for the masses. They're meant for you, your situation. You were supposed to hear that bit of a jewel um, of knowledge. And for some of us, if we don't trust ourselves, it's difficult for us to maybe trust others. So it goes over our head. So, if you're in that sort of headspace, it's going to be difficult for you to honestly say, yeah, the universe talking back. Or if you're someone who, yeah, you're receptive, or at least you consider yourself self receptive and open, but you're constantly second guessing. I have that bit of an issue. So, if you're constantly second guessing and you don't, it could be, maybe that's what it meant. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see if you have that sort of approach about, most of the signs you're given, the messages you're receiving. If you're waiting and seeing, you're not acting on that information, did the universe talk back? You're still not sure. You're in a place of not fully, aligning and agreeing with the universe. So I guess not. Part of you think it didn't, so you'll just continue to stay in that space. So, does the universe talk back? It talks back if you're willing to listen. What's listening? Open minded, paying attention, um, willing to step out your comfort zone a little bit and perceive things differently, kind of looking at things with a different lens. Um, I think one of the ways to look at that is, especially when we're manifesting, doing manifestations for things like money, material wealth, that sort of stuff, whether it's a home, a car, money, you know, um, big bonuses, career aspirations, that sort of stuff, more money, well, material wealth. If you're doing manifestation spells, all of that with that in mind, and you're working on it and you're dedicated to it, and you might be getting messages about whether it's on the way, whether you need to sort of redirect the energy because, the prize is here. You thought it was here, but it might be over here. So you could be getting those messages, and messages, as for any of us who are familiar with this, can come in the kookiest ways that don't necessarily line up with what we thought, how we would have think the message will be received. We'll start with dreams. So if you're having dreams about loss as you manifest in your waking hours about this increase that you're bringing into your life, but you keep dreaming about loss, and how, if you're not sure what does that mean about loss, not a very direct dream, because dreams, again, you have to learn how to interpret them. Years ago, I was feeling very overwhelmed when it came to some money issues, right? And I remember, oh my God, it was, it was me taking on anxiety, not really talking about it, just kind of holding it all in. So in my dreams, I would dream a lot about, for some reason, flooding. Floods. There was always a flood. I was in a car, the water was overtaking me, or drowning, just, get this drowning, overwhelmed, unable to breathe, to get out, that trapped, all of that, I would have like some variation of that type of dream. Going underwater, yeah, that has a lot to do with, for a lot of us, worrying about money, worrying about not having enough, or whatever the enough is, or the feeling of, like I said, being trapped in a situation. I'm just, giving a real generalization that could, depending on what's going on in your life, this can mean other things. But in general, that's, at least for me and for those I've come across, that kind of signals that. And when you think about it, you're like, yeah, I have been kind of stressing about, these bills, or, we got this house, I don't know how we're going to keep these payments. I thought we would be okay, but life changed, incomes changed, and, now we're kind of, it's it's a little tighter than we need it to be, and it's been very tight for long. So one thing, this thing might go up, and to smoke, and you get anxiety about that. So anyway, um, having those sort of dreams, recognizing, that's what it's about. And part of it, you got to learn to distinguish, is this just me, my subconscious, my inner feelings being expressed through dreams, or is this a message? Now, here's why I would think it would be a message. Who's in a car? Okay, back to the dream. So, in a dream about the car, I was in a car, it was flooding. And I'm, just giving more of an example, taking a little bit from my experience. So if I'm dreaming and someone's in a car, they're saying something to me like, all you have to do is just open the door and get out, and and free yourself of this. You don't have to drown. Let's say there's someone talking, or on the radio, there's a word or something saying surrender. Or if you're hearing, nobody's in the car, but you just keep hearing a buzzing sound, and that buzzing sound represents, I don't know, bees, which makes you think of flying. Or I'm thinking from the more direct to the more vague messaging. Those are the message. So there's the active part of you playing out what you fear, but the overlap was the message from the universe saying, hey, you can escape the situation, just do this, or just escape the situation, walk away. Um, and sometimes when we wake from that, we understand that, we're like, me, some of us might take it to heed and say, I need to just let it go. Letting go might mean filing bankruptcy, moving, whatever it is, or making an arrangement. Not stop ignoring your bills and stuff like that, because you need to do those sort of things so that you can focus and concentrate and be a badass to make all these other things happen. But you can't do that because you're in this state of constant anxiety and stress about your financial situation. So you're trying to manifest with this increase, but you're focused on what's decreasing. So it's getting in the way of manifesting, and the universe is stepping in saying, you got to stop this. You got to stop this. So that's what I mean about it talking back, and you being open-minded and being willing to interpret and go from there. Definitely journal. If you're not a big writer, draw pictures, but you need to record this stuff because it's helpful. Not so you can go back and say, "Ooh, look at that lesson I learned back in 2019." It's more of a thing where because sometimes our goals, the spells, the manifestations, all that we're working isn't something that happens like that. It's a process, and it's supposed to be a process. You're building something. You're building a business. You're building a brand. You're working at something. So there's layers and steps to this. It's not necessarily an overnight situation, because you need to build those steps so that you build a foundation to maintain when the manifestation comes into reality in the way that you envision. But there had to be something built, to support that. So you're going to need to be receptive, need to be open-minded, understand how to interpret. Start with learning to sit quiet with your own thoughts. Why? Because you need to distinguish your thoughts from outside messaging. You won't know how to do that if you don't know how to just kind of let the chatter in your brain go and know that's your your voice, not your intuition, just mind chatter. Learn how to deal with that. By the way, a way to kind of minimize the mind chatter so you can get to the next layer or the next level would be to do a brain dump. Again, I'm always going to suggest writing. If you don't want to write, draw pictures, scribble, color, something. You got to get that chatter out so we can because that's a very low level. We need to move up. Once we get past the mind chatter, then of course there's the meditation. Because it's hard to meditate if your brain, if you've got all these thoughts bouncing around in your head. You'll start thinking all kinds of crazy stuff as you sit and call yourself being quiet. You'll think about, how that time you left your, gym clothes in middle school at home, and what that girl said to you, how she hurt your feelings, and how, well, you don't know why you cut your hair like that. Why was my hair not long that? Like, you'll go into these crazy storylines of your life because you're trying to meditate. Learn to dump the mind chatter. Okay. Meditating is super helpful. because again, now that intuitiveness can come out if it wants to, if it's necessary. But you'll be able to understand a little bit more about what's going on, within you and your thoughts and your mind's eye, versus again just conversations in your head yourself. Just bouncing ideas around. Okay. Get a dream dictionary about, for dream interpretation. Get a book on symbolism to understand what symbols mean, because if you're just seeing the same symbol, you know, in this case, if it was a dollar sign, you think money, right? Okay, well, what if it's not a dollar sign? What if it's a symbol you're not accustomed to seeing? Some sort of, half circle or something like that. It doesn't mean it's the moon. You need to go look that stuff up. Or a word. And you generally understand how the word is meant, but you're not sure. Surrender. Surrender is a great word. Surrender, you think, okay, well, I know what surrender means, but maybe there's, I don't want to say a different meaning, but the meaning goes a little deeper because of your situation. Surrender what? How? Surrender. What am I surrendering? Especially if you have all these balls you're juggling, or does surrender mean to let everything go? Do I quit my job? Do I leave my man? Like, what is surrender? What am I, or do I allow these other things to come in? What does that mean? So, again, you might have to apply the word surrender specifically to your situation and look to see what that means to you and yours. Okay. Um, so yes, the universe can talk back if you're willing to be receptive, if you're willing to listen. The other thing I just want to say on the subject is I like to use tarot cards. I like to use actually a tool. So I want to say there's no misunderstanding, but if you practice any sort of divination, there's still some level of interpretation. So again, you have to kind of learn a little bit more, and make sure your fear is not coming in and blocking your interpretation of the cards. You see the death card, the tower card, some of these types of cards freak people out, especially if you ask a question on, is this a good idea? You see the tower card, you might get a little fearful, but it doesn't always mean say this business idea is not a good idea. It could just mean, depending on how you ask the question and what your intentions are, how you're thinking, it could mean if you don't do this, you'll be ruined. The current model that you're living, whether it's your career choice, your current business, or whatever, that situation will come tumbling down. That's that it has to come tumbling down, because this other thing is going to be the thing that carries you through to this next thing and this next thing and blah blah blah. This is where you really need to be, but everything is going to crumble around you first. It could mean that, as opposed to, oh, if you do this, everything is going to crumble. See, I would do other card, maybe do a little bit more thorough of a reading, sort of understand that. For me, because I've done this, I'll come to the tarot cards, I'll sit down and I'll try to figure all this out. I journal. Sometimes you got to sit with it for a couple days, maybe do another reading, go back, see how they compare, do meditation, talk with my ancestors. Oh, which is another thing. So a lot of us have connections with a specific deity or many deities, and our ancestors, spirit. And then there's the topic of, well, when you say the universe, which I said I'm speaking in general earlier, now I'm going to get a little bit more detailed. Well, is the universe separate? Yes and no, in my opinion. I think it's whatever you want it to be. We like to put labels on things and to personify spirits and entities to make it more relatable to us. Okay? Not bad, not, if that's what it takes to keep the connection, so be it. I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. Like when people have, we have this idea of what these entities and look like. We can't. Come on, that's going to be a personal thing on how you need to connect with this entity. So the universe, for me, is all those things: the deities, the ancestors, the spirits, the entities, and then it's also It's all encompassing. It's all of that. They're all speaking through it. To me, it's just the unified voice of it all, if that makes any sense. Um, God, goddess. Okay, yeah. My ancestors. Okay, yeah. Um, you know, Spirits that I don't have a definition of or a name for. Yeah, it's that too. It's all of it. Let's not make ourselves crazy trying to label and to isolate and put certain concepts in a box. I think that's a waste of time, in my opinion, and I don't think it's productive as far as you having connection with your spiritual path. If I'm back to my example, trying to have manifest this increase of material wealth in my life, and I'm getting messages within the dream of me experiencing, the effects of the decrease. Um, and the message is to do this or to do that or to just get out. Um, and it's by, a person, let's say it's Dave Ramsey. If you know Dave Ramsey's the financial guru guy. Let's say Dave Ramsey's in the car for some reason in a dream, and he's like, "You got to get out," or he's on the radio, "You got to get out." To me, that would mean the message is, "You got to get out of this situation." Okay, let's talk about how we're gonna get out. And then I'm doing spell work, going, okay, what do I need to do to get out? I need answers here. Send me send me knowledge, send me information. So, with that, I'm going to actively be looking and see what makes sense to me. Whether it's going into a bookstore. If it was me and that dream happened, I'm probably going to go buy a Dave Ramsey book and read up on how do I manage my debt, and look at if he has something on investments or something like that, how to increase my wealth and all that sort of stuff. I would do that. That to me, that would be a very direct message um, from the universe. But what I wouldn't be doing is taking the time to flesh out. Was that my ancestors? Was that a spirit? Was that you know um, the goddess that I work with, or the god, or a god? Is that any of those sort of things? Is that my grandma from afar telling me what to do that passed on? I don't. I mean, you can wonder about it, but I wouldn't let it take over my thoughts. I would be more consumed with the message and acting on it. That's what I would be doing. But I digress. The universe talks back. It does. Be willing to listen. Be willing to act on the messages you got. And there's sometimes the message is to sit down and be quiet and let it happen, whatever the it is. Allow that too. Don't fight against it. But if you're someone who is a little like me, who believes we make our own fate, there's probably various paths we could go down. It's just, we're always in control, can choose which one. So we may get messages because then again we're focused on a specific path. So maybe the message is directly about that. You can always change your mind, guys. You can always go a different path. You can always stop manifesting that thing because no longer it may no longer be necessary. Prime example, you're wanting a job, a specific, you already have a career path. You want the next level, position or something like that because it'll be more money. It's the next logical step in your path, your career path. It makes sense, and you're fueled by it. You want to do it, but life changes. You got married. Now you have you got pregnant, and you want to do this life now. You never saw yourself wanting to give up or take a break from your career. That was never in the process. And you've been manifesting all of this and working toward it and putting in the work and the energy to grow your career. And now you have these thoughts once this baby comes and a supportive husband, you don't want to do that right now anymore. That's not even on your radar. The only thing you want to do is be with that baby. So, with that sort of stuff, yeah, your manifestation might have changed. It's altered, and that's okay. And now the new thing is, okay, well, how is it possible for me to be at home and, comfortably, financially, and all that sort of stuff? So now things change. The plans change. So the messaging will be different. So the messages that you got before about do this, go hard, maybe you were getting those sort of messaging from the universe. It no longer applies because your desires have changed. So so to hold on to those messages, that message that you got, or messages you were receiving, is sort of validation and confirmation of the goal that you were working toward. It does it fit? No. So let it go. Let it go. Don't still hold on to it and say, well, the universe, I know this is what I'm supposed to do. It was what you were supposed to do at the time to fit that situation. The situation's different now. I would now open myself up again to new messaging that fits my situation. Okay? So hopefully that was helpful. At least these are my thoughts and how I look at it. And it's been, pretty good for me. It keeps me balanced. It keeps me from feeling regret, especially if I change my mind about things. It also helps me as far as, understanding the universe sends me messages and things like that. It helps me, again, keep alignment, keep confirmation, because sometimes what I'm trying to bring forth, magical workings I'm doing, manifesting, maybe I don't need to be doing it. And sometimes you may get messages saying, no, don't do that. And you might have to be receptive. So write that stuff down, because if you continue down that path, and things didn't, it was much harder than it should have been, and, it almost didn't even come together. You still got what you wanted, but maybe you're not just satisfied, because maybe there was, another path that needed to be taken and explored, but you were so focused on this because you were so sure and so right. That was the thing you were supposed to be doing. So, again, we got to stay open, stay open to things, listen to our inner selves, to our intuition. I'm big on that. Listen to your intuitive voice. Those little nudges and whispers is important, along with also the broader, universal messaging that we get as well. Uh, so thanks for watching. Again, I'm Mika. This is Lee Taken. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. And again, thanks for the subscribers. 100. I'm still excited. And, I'm always open for more, to grow this channel, because, it'd be nice to be popular, and hopefully popular in a good way. People like the content and they want to share it and they're getting something out of it. That's cool to me. That's what I'm looking forward to. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. I want to keep doing this, and keep it being, hopefully, inspiring other witches and people who are just open to paganism. So again, thank you, and you guys have a good day. Bye.